Just loading.
Yeah.
Okay, we are live. Wow, this is such an exciting day. Guys, this is Kwadwo from Elementary Chinese.
How's it going?
Yes, we're going to be talking today about your struggles in learning Mandarin, and I actually also have the same struggles, so I'm very excited to address these today. Yes, and last week we actually went live and we just answered a bunch of questions about learning Mandarin, but today we're specifically talking about these struggles. So in case anybody hasn't seen the live stream last week or they don't know you already, can you please do a short little introduction introducing yourself?
Super short, super sweet. My name is Kwadwo. I'm the creator of Elementary Chinese. It's a YouTube channel and an Instagram account and a business. And I help people who are especially studying Mandarin Chinese on their own, like on your own, if you're outside of China and you want to make consistent progress, like right now you're overwhelmed and you don't know what to do. Like I show you what to do so that you can progress consistently, get more excited about your goals, build your momentum and your confidence in learning Mandarin Chinese.
I love it. I love it. Amazing. Okay, so I guess we should just get right into these struggles because I feel like there's a few things. And what I love about this is that some people actually mentioned things that I never really thought about before, but then I realized, okay, yeah, these are actually struggles. So I'm really excited to get into these. I guess the first one is going to be pretty chill. It's just, how do you stay motivated when you're learning this language? So, Kwadwo, what's your advice?
What's my advice is do something you're interested in. Autumn Ratledge is watching right now. She's an example of this, but do something you're interested in, and that will help your motivation stay higher. If you're excited, then you're motivated, but also be very realistic in how you approach your study to Chinese. Set up yourself for success. Like if you make a 7-day plan, allow yourself 2 mess up days to not study, and quit doing the things that demotivate you.
Yes, I think that's a big thing. I love how you mentioned that it's about passion as well. I think that if you are passionate about learning and you're excited to learn about certain topics or something, then it's easy to stay motivated. But on those times where maybe you're not as excited to talk, like to learn about a topic, your teacher is going over something, or you're just not as interested in something, then it is a little bit harder to stay motivated, but sometimes you just got to push through. I also personally have like a friend who's also studying at the same level as me. And so we kind of keep each other motivated because I'm like, she's keeping me accountable, I'm keeping her accountable. And that's another way that we kind of stay motivated as well. Just because like, I don't want to let her down, you know? We're like, I don't want to let her down. But yeah.
That's actually very, 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 very a good way. Friends. Accountability partners. Yep. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's really important because if you're doing everything by yourself, then it's not as, I guess, easy. Just because if you're doing it by yourself, you're your own boss, you know. And sometimes if you don't want to do something, you just won't do it. But if someone's telling you gotta do it, you'll probably do it. You know.
That's why you have a group. Like you wouldn't climb Mount Everest by yourself. So don't study Chinese by yourself, and your chances of getting to the top of the Chinese mountain are much better.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so this one I also find is interesting. We're going to move on to this next one. Memorizing characters. I totally agree with this. And they also mentioned, how do you remember every one that you've learned? Fun? You don't.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a tough one. Do you have any advice for memorizing characters?
Increase your exposure to them and look at the ones that you need the most. So, I mean, but my advice is not, I can speak from like my truth, how I learned Chinese, but then also from like how the people that I'm coaching are learning Chinese. And so write the characters if you can, because writing engages more senses. You're engaging your kinesthetic learning sense as you write the character. So like literally you are inscribing the character on your brain, which is a good thing. My daughter's walking right there. And so is my wife. But also if you have like a flashcard app, put the characters that you need inside of the flashcard app. And other than that, try to go after the characters that mean something to you. Like I understand that if you're using a book or if you're a student inside of a class, then you probably need to memorize the characters that you're learning. But the quicker you can get to some characters that maybe are on a topic or a part of words that you care about, like if you want to study fashion, then maybe you can go and start consuming some fashion content and learning some of those words. That can help.
Yeah, I do think that if you're interested in a certain topic, it'll be easier to memorize those particular characters. I feel like, so somebody actually asked me this on my latest video too, and they said, how do you memorize characters? And I got quite a few comments asking that. So I think I'm even gonna make a video on how I do it, because I feel like sometimes I do it in a really weird way.
Well, share a bit.
I will. Let me tell you right now. So basically, I wish I had like, it's hard to like come up with examples. Where I have all my cue cards like right next to me, so I'm trying to like see if there's any easy ones right now, but I can't see any of the easy ones. But basically, it's like if you just look at how the character is built, like for example, the character for leak has the radical for water, and then it looks like there's a roof, and then it has the character for rain. So it looks like the rain came into the roof, and so you know it means a leak. So I feel like there's some very interesting ways that you can look at how a character is just like drawn, based off of other characters, based off of drawings, however you can. I just think that's a really like fun way, and it's interesting. But otherwise, when it comes to actually memorizing like maybe ones that aren't that easy, then I just use cue cards all day, every day.
All day, every day, because they work. I just put the leak character into the chat, by the way, so you guys that are watching live can see it.
Thank you. Yes, so yeah, you guys can see that how that one's kind of built. But yeah, that one's one that I just can't forget. But yeah, I think that like cue cards are a must, and I like your idea of like even having it digitally as well, just like putting it all into a digital format. Yeah.
Let's break down what you just said, because you just said looking at the character components effectively. How like the one for leak has the water and the roof and the rain underneath. So, but what you just described was pulling apart the meaningful character components, which means you have to learn those components first, which could be a very good, if reading is your goal, that could be a good investment of your time, so that what you're doing, Jen, is deconstructing the character based on its meaningful parts, instead of like just having to look at all the individual strokes, and that is a good spot, you guys that are watching, to get to where you know the components, and you can learn characters much more effectively that way. So.
You make me feel so good about myself. Thank you.
Well, but you just said that. It's true. You just said, yeah. I'm just breaking it down in a teacher way for that's really Jen fam that are watching that might not quite be there yet, and it's true. What you just said is, I just said it.
No, it's nice to hear somebody else say how it is, but like in a more teacher way, just makes me feel like I'm doing something right, and it's lovely.
You are though, and I am a certified Chinese teacher, so you're doing it right.
I have gained the approval of elementary Chinese.
Wow.
But yeah, I agree. I feel like that's a little bit more of an advanced way to kind of memorize the character. Like once you have like the understanding, like once you know that is the water character or the water radical, then I guess like you'll be able to know that all of the characters with that water radical mean something to do with water, for example. So once you kind of have those basic understandings of the different like structures, then I think it'll be easier to memorize them as well. So get your basics down. Whoop, whoop.
Yep. What's the next question? And while she's pulling up the next question, guys and gals, this advice, I really don't like theories. So Jen has been kind enough to invite me here. What we're doing is promoting the opening of the DIY Chinese community, and that's where I coach people. And I'm saying this because, yeah, I'm the creator, so of course I'm going to talk about it. But you also need to know that the advice I'm giving you is really practical advice. Literally, it is the advice that I give inside of my paid community, where people are like giving me their money so that they can get results. So you're getting it for free right now, but please, you can be confident. Take action with what we're going to tell you today, because this will change your Chinese ability. It will give you a lot more progress. So I just wanted to throw that in there. The link, because the community is open right now. It will close down in 3 days, but it's open right now. The link is in the descriptions way below. And let's get to that next question. I'm excited to help.
Yeah, I just want to mention too that this community is very like legit and awesome, just because like you do a lot there. Like you're not only teaching and providing support, but also there are groups where you keep each other accountable too, which I think is really important. It really is a community where it will improve your ability to speak Mandarin as long as you're willing to put that effort in. And yeah, I do think it's a good idea. So yeah, guys, link in the description if you want to go check it out and see what it's more about.
Thank you.
Okay, so this next one here, learning pronunciation and the fear to start talking. Listen, this hits me hard. It's so hard because I feel like this is a big thing for language learners. It's like the pronunciation is one thing, and like it's really hard to feel confident enough to actually start talking to a native speaker. So do you have anything to say about this particular point before I get into my rant?
Go into your rant, please. All I'll say is very shortly, I understand. It's the fear of feeling silly, and silly is literally another word for stupid. And I think I just want you to know I understand. Like, we all learn Chinese from zero, at least us non-native speakers, and I went through the same phase. It's just a phase. Like, if you can increase, here's how you get through that phase. If you can increase your tolerance for feeling silly and feeling vulnerable and feeling stupid, then you will get through the phase quicker because you will go and embrace those feelings and practice more. Also, you can get through that phase much more quickly if you find a language exchange partner and do lots of practice with them so that you get over yourself. It's all in our head. There are some mean people there who are looking to like tear you down and make fun of you, but most of the people are quite happy and excited and touched because you showed respect by trying to learn their native language. So practice, 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 go.
Yes. No, I completely agree with everything. I do think it's a phase. For me, it went through a really weird way. Like, for example, when I first started learning and I first went to China, I was like beginner, but I was so confident. Like, I was going up to the taxi drivers and I was like, yo, like, this is where I want to go. And then they didn't understand me. And I was like, listen. And I said it slow. Like, I'd be like, yes, you guys, like, come on. But then actually right now, I am probably the most self-conscious I've been speaking this language than I ever have been before. And let me tell you why. I think it's because now I'm at a point where I can do basic conversation. So I'm more aware of the mistakes that I'm making. Before it was like, I wouldn't even know that I would be making a mistake. I would just be talking.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. So now I'm actually like low-key scared sometimes to talk with native speakers, especially if they can speak English, just because then I automatically go to English, and that's my own problem. I think something that really helped me was actually my 30-day challenge where I spoke Chinese every single day for a month, and I uploaded a video. Now, this was really scary. My very first video, you can tell I was talking slow, and I was like kind of nervous, and I actually, behind the scenes when I was filming, I redid a lot of the parts just because I wanted it to sound good. But by the end of it, I really didn't like care as much. I was like, I kind of just whatever. And I had people in the comments always correcting me, and like on my Chinese social media, people would constantly be like, oh, you said this wrong, you said this wrong. But you know what? Now I know, and I kind of look back at it now and I'm just like laughing a little bit. I'm like, okay, well now I'll never make that mistake. Like, oops, whatever. Like, how many thousand people have seen this video, and whatever. It is what it is now. So yeah, I think that it is just a phase, and like kind of pushing yourself to do it, and then eventually that feeling will just start to like go away, I think. But it is a tough one. Yes.
Yao Zheng in your comments, quite nice, said no need to worry, not even natives get all pronunciations 100% correct. And I, Jin, have the same struggle because in the beginnings of elementary Chinese, so many haters would send me a message or comment right on my video like, oh, your Chinese is horrible, you said this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. And then like a switch flipped, and I realized it's not my job to speak perfect Chinese. It's more my job to continue to be brave and to be like that example and role model that it's okay to make mistakes as you yourself try to go forward and learn and practice. And really, that's that fear right there. Like, honestly, by you being fearless and having courage, even though you know you make mistakes, it gives people with either better Chinese who are just super scared to get on camera, or worse Chinese who are hoping one day to be at your level, it gives them confidence. So like, I say embrace it. We're all learners. Like, You just be humble and go for it. Speak Chinese.
Exactly. Chinese. I feel like it's such a fun language too. Like, just find opportunities to use it. Even if you say stuff wrong, that's totally okay. Like, it is just a process of learning. And sometimes you have to go through those points where you say things wrong just so you can get it right next time. And that is just how we learn, right? We learn through experience. And otherwise, like, you can't just get it like this, you know? So it's a process. It takes time. But hopefully this little rant that we've both been kind of going on here has inspired people. Just get a language partner, talk to your friends, go order some bubble tea in Chinese.
Please.
You can do this. And if you make a mistake, make one seat, man, no problem. You've got this.
Go for it.
Look at that.
You're good at encouraging.
Okay, this next struggle, I also totally get this one. And I think you'll have some good points about it. Ready? Here it is. Coming up with goals.
Yeah, I got points about that.
Okay, go ahead.
Language learning is not special, as in learning Chinese is nothing that's really mysterious. And just like we set goals in real life, like if you set a goal in learning Chinese, then you will have a higher chance of getting towards that goal. Think of an archer who is like pulling way back with their bow and arrow right here on my camera, and then shoots an arrow and hits the target. You don't have a target, you will miss 100% of the time. So make a target. There we go. And how I coach people is to make like a 2-week target. Don't try to get or achieve a goal that's 3 months away, because life gets in the way. Make it very clear and make it 2 weeks out. Also think of a way that you can measure it, make it quantifiable, and then commit to proving it 2 weeks from now. And that will help you study in a more targeted, specific, and directed way. So yeah, come up with a goal for yourself. Shall we practice this with you? You want to share?
Should I come up with a 2-week goal right now, right here?
I mean, we could go do a little bit of like a role play for setting a goal. Like, for example, next 2 weeks, I think you should only do speaking, listening, reading, or writing. So what area are you going to focus on for the next 2 weeks?
Ooh, speaking.
Speaking, cool. And what are you interested in learning to speak about in the next 2 weeks?
Oh, speak about. Oh, that's a good one. I just want to practice, like, you know what? Let's go with something random. I'm going to be going camping soon. I want to know how to talk about my experience going camping.
Don't do random. Do something that you really want to do. But if you want to go camping, okay.
Yeah, I want to know. I have a friend who speaks Chinese going camping there too. So I feel like maybe I can, like, you know, I don't know.
So the process we'll go through then is something that you that are watching, Jen and I, can also do for yourself. It's what I coach people to do. So you want to go camping and you want to learn camping vocabulary in 2 weeks. The first thing, Jen, is I don't want you to study toward this goal more than 10 minutes a day and 5 days a week. Cool? Can you commit to that? Of course you can. So, and the reason is I don't want you to get disappointed or to lose motivation if you mess up. So 10 minutes a day is super easy to do no matter how bad life is that day. And then 5 days a week, that's going to give you some rest time. So then specifically as adults, we're just going to reverse engineer. First of all, what kind of camping vocabulary might you want to learn?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I feel like what kind of camping vocabulary, you know, like tent, lake,
sure, tent, lake. Maybe phrases like "that's a tasty marshmallow" or "a campfire" or
yes.
"Hi, how are you? Where are you from?" If you met somebody, the point of this little mental exercise is more like put yourself in the position of someone who, like, where you're at your goal already, or the reason you need to hit this goal, and think, what could you need? And then begin to write those down in English. And then, of course, because you have a language exchange partner, right? Yeah. All right. See, you guys, Jen knows what she's doing. She's practicing, right? So you have a language exchange partner. You would find the Chinese vocabulary with the help of your language exchange partner or the help of Google Translate, but then always take anything you get from a dictionary or Google Translate and filter that through the eyes and ears of your language exchange partner. So they can tell you, oh, this language is weird. Here's how you would say it. And then, Jen, just divide it up. Like if you're going to study for 2 weeks, but only 5 days in those two 10 days in those 2 weeks, 5 days a week, 10 minutes a day, then just choose a realistic number of vocabulary or phrases that you can learn every day, which in 10 minutes for you is what's realistic for you to learn in 10 minutes.
What I can do in 10 minutes? Let me think.
Yeah, like how many words do you think, or how many phrases? Don't go crazy.
Memorize?
Something easy. Learn. And we'll talk about what learn means to you in a second, but right now, just...
Right. I like this little coaching session. It makes me feel very like I need to work on what I'm doing too.
You could take it. I'm giving you super real advice. Like I said, this is what people pay me for. So
I love it. Maybe like in 10 minutes, probably like 20, no, more than 20, maybe like 30.
In 10 minutes?
Well, like,
no.
It like depends on the word. I feel
no. Less.
This is my cue card set, and I went through this in like 25 minutes, but I guess I haven't like memorized them completely.
And they're already words that you know, but we're talking brand new camping terms and camping related phrases in 10 minutes.
I don't know. I've never tried this, like I've never tried it. Maybe
okay.
What's realistic? Like 15?
How about this? Because I don't want to impose my standard on you. If you say 15, try it. And if it's too much for you, the quickest thing is ratchet it down. If you find the first day, it's just you're feeling heavy, like I don't want to do this, it's too much, then only do 5 or 10. The point is that you get to the second day where you can do another 10-minute focused session. And also you have to factor in time, Jen. If you're only studying 10 days and you have to hit this goal of learning words, if you try to learn 20 words a day, that's 20 times 10, which is 200 words, or 20 times 8, which is 160 words. That's a lot. And then you also have to think, how do you prove that you know those words to your language exchange partner at the end of this 2-week adventure? So I would recommend a lot less actually, because I guess what I really coach people to do is how to keep their motivation up long term, which means doing easier things short term. So you're 10 minutes a day, you could try 15. Cool. How are you going to learn though? Let's keep going on this mental exercise.
Okay.
When you say learn the phrases, what does that mean?
So let me tell you what I do. So I normally go through 2 packs of these a week, okay? And then I will sit down and I will first memorize the characters using my weird methods. And then I will write down sentences, like example sentences. And then that's mostly it. And that's why I wanted to work on speaking, because I don't know how to speak those phrases. I just remember the phrases, but I can't speak them.
Okay. So then maybe learn for you means speaking those phrases either. And you could decide what the metric is. Is it going to be having accurate tones over a whole phrase? Is it going to be, is your language exchange partner able to choose a phrase at random that you furnished to them because you said you learned them, and just strike up a conversation with you in which you need to insert the phrase? Maybe your language exchange partner could take the written out sentence and cut it up into little pieces and scramble it. And, on camera, because I guess you're not in the same spot, but on camera, you could just look at the pieces and say, oh, this one's first, that one's next, that one's next, There's so many different levels that you could do depending on your proficiency. But I just encourage you, however you do this, make your goal measurable, decide how many, what the number is that you will know, decide what no is in your specific case and how you're going to prove that you know. And there's your 2-week goal. And remember, keep it within 10 minutes. You only want to study 10 minutes toward your goal. You can study other things, but you obviously study a lot because you are like the cue card queen. But make sure that toward your specific goal, in this case, speaking, like you said, and camping vocabulary, that you only focus 10 minutes on it. And that forces your goal to be really simple and achievable. And that
I love this. I
feel
like you really put me in my place. You're like, no, Jen, you can't do that much.
Well, maybe you can. I just don't want you to quit later.
Because honestly, I feel like I clearly don't know what I'm doing when I'm studying. I just have an end goal, and I'm kind of doing whatever I can to kind of get there, but I don't have a solid plan. It's more Like my plan is go over 2 of these packs of vocabulary per week, memorize the characters so that I'm just able to do the HSK test. But realistically, like my goal, my actual goal, my heart, where's my passion? It's in talking. I love to talk and I want to talk with locals. And that is my passion. I'm learning these words, but I've never said, like half of these I've never said out loud. You know what I mean? So that's the problem. I like the way you're thinking. Write the sentences, give them to my language partner. You have inspired me.
Yay. Well, that's what I hope, like, to inspire you and any of you who are watching. Like, that's the point. Chinese is fun. One of the best decisions I made was to learn Chinese and communicate with people. Like, right, Jen? It's really enjoyable. It's really enjoyable. It's really fun. Enjoyable. Yes. I need to improve my English vocabulary.
That's hilarious.
Enjoyable. Oh my gosh. But yeah, what other questions do we got that we can help folks with? And
well, let's see. We spent a lot of time on these goals. I love it though. To some of the people watching, because I feel like you are really providing us the value today. I love it.
I'm trying to. If you're just joining like our live stream here, my name is Kwadwo. I'm the creator of Elementary Chinese. I really specialize in coaching folks like you, if you're outside of China and learning Chinese, how to learn better on your own and get progress always. And that's maybe a bit of hyperbole. Always progress, but how about a lot more progress consistently than you had in the past by following these kind of methods? And it's what people pay me to do. How to learn Chinese. So next question.
Okay, well, I quickly want to mention a comment here. I think is it Riri? Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but she's just making a story with your new words and then giving it to your language partner before you start talking to them, so that they can give you corrections during a Skype or WeChat session. I really like this idea. Like if you're writing and using stories, and then maybe if you even like say it out loud, it's like you're practicing reading, a bit of speaking. You can use those words to your language partner that way. I really like this idea. Very nice. I might try this too. I kind of like this because then I can spend my own time preparing before I just go into speaking. So it's kind of nice. I like it.
Thank you, Riri, or if, depending if it's Pinyin. But wow, thank you. Thank you so much, because that's true. Yes. Good way to work with your language partner.
Okay, so I don't want to go into any ones. We've already touched on a little bit of these. Okay, I like this one. This one is a little bit difficult for me as well. Speaking and remembering tones at the same time. Yeah. This is a little bit of a thing. Like I think I mentioned in the last live stream that I have a little bit of a problem with this. There's the words that I know the tones for and I'll say those right. But then there's the words that I don't know the tone, so I kind of make it up a little bit and just hope it sounds okay. That's another problem of mine. But yeah, so I feel like the only way to kind of remember is just to repeat them. But I'm still struggling with this too, so I don't have the best advice just yet.
Okay. Well, I mean, your tones are okay, yeah?
Well, I mean, I think they're fine for now, except for the few that I don't know and I just make them up.
Okay. Confidently fake it till you make it. All right. But no, there's something to confidently just having fun and going into it. Speaking and remembering tones at the same time is a process. And do you just want me to break it down?
Sure.
I can break it down. I think before I explain this process, though, do you have a story that you might share about your struggle with tones? I'll share one, and then you can share yours full screen and give me a moment to take a little break and come right back. And then I'll tell you the exact way to learn your tones. Like, you guys don't want to not watch this next part because everybody struggles with tones. And I have how to learn tones down to a science. But my story where I struggled was where I was in Beijing, and as a foreign student there, some of the people from, well, maybe they were in the English language department at the university, but they had this little wanhui, and it was in the auditorium, like this get-together gathering party, and they had to present, and I was the co-host. They wrangled me into being the co-host because I was like the one Black person there, and they were like, "You're going to be a co-host and speak Chinese," and we had to practice our lines. And there's this word called 举办. And 主办. Is it 主办 or 举办? Somebody help me really quick. I forgot, but it's the word to like host, like if you're hosting a show. if you're like the announcer. And so I kept saying it wrong, and it sounded like the word for motherboard, which is juba. And a motherboard is like inside of a computer, that circuitry that runs your computer. And I kept saying it wrong the whole time, even though I practice a lot. And I kept saying it wrong on stage too. And everybody was laughing because they thought it was funny. And I was a bit embarrassed, but I just kept going. And in the end, someone came up and said, "Oh, your Chinese is very good." I'm like, I couldn't say the words right. I know. And they're like, "It's okay. Chinese is hard." And so the whole point is try, and just don't worry if you make mistakes.
Yes, I agree.
So you got a story, Jen?
Yes, I will tell a story, and I'm going to go full screen here.
All right. Thank you. I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay, so let me tell you a story. I don't know if I have like particular stories, but because I feel like a lot of these go the same way for me. Let me tell you. So there's a lot of times where I say things wrong, and then people don't know what I'm saying. And this, I can't tell you a particular time because it happens a lot. Basically, I'll just talk, and I'm so confident in what I'm saying, and then they don't understand. And I say it again, and they still don't understand. And I'll say it one more time, and they still don't understand. But you know what? Again, this is how we learn. Sometimes if they don't understand, if you explain it in a different way, maybe they will. But Autumn, you're asking, like, how do you remember the tones? Because you always forget. This is such a thing. Like, I remember when I first started learning, and even now, it's so difficult to remember tones even sometimes by themselves. So there's a few strategies. I feel like one thing when I was studying in Harbin, what really worked for me is I will tell you, okay, let me see if I have like a thing. Okay, I don't have a thing, but normally I'll have like a list of vocabulary, and what it'll have is it'll have the character. Wait, let me do it so you guys can see it better. Okay, so it'll have the character, it'll have the pinyin, and then it'll have the English. And so what we do is we would read them in order, and we would kind of look at the character and the pinyin at first, just so we know how to say it. And then we would repeat this vocabulary list of 10, 15 words, probably like 3 or 4 times. And we would go like this. We would go like, I don't know, what's some easy ones? Okay, I'll just do really, really easy ones. Like, ni, how. Like, we'll just go over it and we'll say the word twice like that. And we just do it so many times that eventually we'll kind of get the tone, and we'll memorize the character at the same time. So that's kind of just like a fun way of memorizing the characters and learning tones at the same time. But I mean, other than that, listening to audio recordings is also kind of helpful, but I'm not going to lie, I'm a little lazy to do that. So this is really bad advice. I kind of wing it, and I just hope that I'm saying my tones correctly. But, you know, if you're really like into this, like recordings and like textbooks, recordings are a great way to go. They'll really drill it into you. Oh, and repeating sentences off of TV shows. That's a good one. Yes. So TV shows. Love them. You can just repeat their sentences. Okay, Kwadwo has arrived. Sorry, my story took too long. I had no stories, Kwadwo, while you were gone. So I just basically said that in general, I've had a lot of instances where people just don't understand me because of my tones. And it is, and it's a little bit sad, but it's life. And that's how we learn, right? That's, again, we come back to that. It's how we learn.
Mm-hmm. I'm laughing because okay, I'll tell you how to go from how to get your tones right. But one more quick story is I was in a cab with my wife going to a ferry, and it was the international ferry. And if you're Chinese, or maybe Jen, you know the word for international, like ferry port, international port.
Ferry port? Don't know.
International port. It's a matou. Matou is like the port. Okay, and like the ma is. It's like a pier, I guess. A pier would be a better way. It's the ma, like the shu ma, the digital or number, that ma, third tone, and then to, like your head. Anyway, ma to is a pier, and we were going there, and I was joking with the Chinese driver, and so it's called the guoji ma to, and you're supposed to say like I want to go there, but I changed up the words and kept saying我要去国际马桶. And matong is the word for toilet. And I kept saying this. The driver thought I was messing up, and so he would correct me. And then I would just like say it again. No, 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 I want to 国际马桶. And eventually we were just having a good old laugh as we could go forward. So the tones and sounds are quite similar. And how you speak and remember tones at the same time is you need, my wife is right here laughing because she remembers that. But you need to take comprehensible input, if we're going to get scientifical, like from your textbook, something you can understand that's comprehensible for the most part. That way you understand, say, 80%, and the 20% you don't get is very easy to learn. And you need to combine audio with that. And the reason is because Chinese tones are difficult, and saying mei by itself for beautiful is somewhat hard in the beginning, but you can do it. But as soon as you put it with another character like guo, because guo means country and I'm American, so mei guo, it's a lot harder for us foreigners and for you if you're a non-native learner. And you might be able to say each one, mei, and then guo, like, okay, but you put them together and you're like, mei guo, and you're like, wait, that's wrong. And then you try to make a phrase and it's super hard. But if you combine audio and engaging multiple learning senses, listening, sight, and speaking together to read along as you're listening to the audio, then it will be much easier for you to begin to understand and say correctly the intonation and pitch over a Chinese phrase. So again, learning Mandarin is not mysterious. It's all about practice. Just like if you were a swimmer and you did, I forget what sport you used to do, but if you did swimming, then your coach had you do drills so you could practice. Same thing if you're learning how to do basketball or ice hockey, I don't know, but it's practice and practice and practice. That way, when you're in the real situation, in this case, communication, you can do it fine. So that's how you do it. Speaking and remembering tones at the same time, practice and remember first. And then when you speak, it will come out naturally.
I love that. Practice. Practice does make perfect. It truly does. And even if it's not perfect, then you'll continue learning. And that's the beauty of life. Yes.
It is. Juban is host. I saw that in the comments now. Thank you. So that's why I was saying Juban, and which should be host instead of Juban, which is motherboard. So
love it. Okay. So the next one is, I guess maybe we have time for like two more quick ones. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so this one is listening and understanding native speakers. I think there's a few ways that you can go about this. Personally, to understand native speakers, I would just get a native speaker friend. Just because then, like, if you force yourself to talk to them, and I know that this is also probably one of the more intimidating ones. You're talking to potentially a stranger, if you're getting a language partner, and then you have to make conversation in another language, and it can be quite intimidating. But actually, if you push yourself to do it, you'll find people who really like match your vibe, and they will be like long-term friends and partners at the same time. And you guys will be able to correct each other in like the languages, and it's a lot of fun. And then this way you also get practice listening. Also, I find it interesting too, because your language partner, whoever you're talking to, could come from many different places in China, and they'll have different accents. I know because I have like friends from Beijing, and then also like Guangzhou. And then some like in Suzhou. So it's kind of like a little bit of everywhere, and like the accents are a little bit different. But that way, I feel like I'm training my ears to better understand these different words said in different ways, and it's helpful. Yeah. But other than that, I feel like there's Chinese radio, Chinese TV shows. I think reality shows are better than TV shows because they are like in like you get to hear how they naturally talk. It's not always scripted, you know? So I feel like you can really gain some phrases and really hear, like actually I don't know if anybody's watched Ching Chun Yoni. That was the first time. Okay, it's so good. Basically, it's like all of these different, like there was one time where it was like all boys, like 100 boys or whatever, and then they come in and they're trying to compete to be a 9-member boy group. And then this year there was girls. And so I don't know, it's just really great. It's really great. But that was the first time when I was watching that I naturally heard jiao for like in a natural setting. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. So that's how I learned how to use jiao, because we don't have that really in English. So I was like, okay. But yeah, I feel like reality TV shows are a good way to go as well. You learn the natural ways and some cool phrases. Yes.
I just looked for Ting Chun Yoni. I'm gonna watch that now. I'm always on the lookout for new things. So
It's
that looks
so
kind of interesting.
The only sad part is that the finale, the actual show finale, they didn't post it on ITE. So I couldn't watch it. Like, it was only for VIPs, and your girl doesn't want to spend money on watching that episode. So, so I didn't do it. But I know who the 9-member girl group is now, and I'm just so like excited. I love them all. They're great, But it's a great show. I highly recommend it to anyone.
Cool. Somebody in the comments was just like, I just don't know what to talk about with my language exchange partner. And so maybe in that case, you get creative about talking about your book. That was Autumn in the comments. Shout out, Autumn. And you can talk about TV shows you're watching. You can have them. Oh my gosh, when I was with a tutor, I had a book and I would read the book with the tutor and then talk about it with her, but then also have her read it and record it so that I could read along with her voice. Also, before a session, for example, I'm actively learning Spanish right now. And I have sent in the past to my Spanish tutor, because we tutor over WhatsApp, and I would send her an episode of something that I watched, in this case, a Spanish language YouTube channel called Coreano Vlogs. It's this Korean dude who grew up in Mexico, and he blogs in Spanish. And she would watch the show too, and I would watch it. And then we both would go into our learning session together, having watched it. And I would have a slew of questions, but she could easily answer because she had also watched it too. That's some really cool strategies.
I love it. Yeah. And like, in addition to like having, like, not really knowing what to talk about, I guess something, if you get a language partner, something you can even do is like come up with topics ahead of time. I remember one of my language partners, she was studying for the ELTS test, like the English test thing. And she wanted to talk about particularly what they talked about on the test. So we would kind of go over the different topics that way so that she'd get some practice speaking what she actually, that was her goal, right? So that's kind of what we went towards. So you can always come up with topics ahead of time and like think of things that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think one more question, right?
Yes. So I guess let's just go into it. Knowing where to start, especially with reviewing. I think this has to do more with like setting your goals and knowing kind of what you want to achieve and give yourself a plan. I guess Kwadwo has corrected, not corrected, but like inspired me to like change what I'm doing. So I feel like there's, I guess, some new ways that I'm going to even approach this, because I feel like reviewing is hard. Like, you can spend some time learning, but then you might forget things that you learned 2 months ago. So I feel like even that way, it's like I want to reintroduce that into my study somehow as well, just because I feel like that would be important. And I use a word maybe once in a YouTube video because that's what I've been doing. I take some of my cue card words and I use them in my YouTube videos. I put them aside and I say, Jen, you have to use these 5 words in your YouTube video today. Okay. And but then a month later, I'll actually have forgotten those words. And like, even though I used them, how do I use them again? So I feel like it's just a matter of keeping up with it and trying to reintroduce them some way. So that's something I'm going to work on trying to do, but I don't know how I'm going to do this yet.
It's the struggle though, Jen. It's the struggle. Like, you and I are not in China right now. And so reviewing is hard. It really is, because you have to manufacture a situation in which you can review certain vocabulary. So there's no quick and easy way, but with cue cards, digitally on an app, maybe an app that comes with spaced repetition built in, so that the app knows if you tell it you don't know a word, it cycles the word sooner and it shows it to you again. And if you know a word, then it doesn't show you for maybe a week or another month. Putting vocabulary in that is good. But Jen, I like handwriting flashcards. I like that method. Maybe it's like the old school method, but I like it because you're writing and it helps you learn. But what you can do, what I coach people to do is what you're learning, the vocabulary, that's why you just want to focus it in one area. Because if it's all kind of related, it might be easier to remember. So when you're starting, you want to try to learn like related words, not in a test sort of way. So not finding words that do have a related meaning but aren't actually used. but other ways to say something maybe with your language exchange partner. And if you start there, it's the beginning, and it's not necessarily easy, but it is a way forward. I honestly think you should just copy Jin's way and just commit, I'm going to use a certain vocabulary word somehow. And maybe in your study time, every week or so, specifically on your schedule, say this day at every whatever interval, every 3 days, every 2 days, I'm only going to look at things that I already studied and to bring it up again. Like
that's a good way to do it. And also Britt in the comments or in the chat, she said she uses Anki. Anki? How do you say that? Anki? Anki?
Anki is how I say it, but I don't know how to say it otherwise. It could be Anki. Anki. I have always heard Anki.
Okay, Anki. We'll go with Anki. So I've actually heard about this too, and I've heard that it's really nice. And I think that one also uses that way that you said, that it'll like bring up words.
Spaced repetition, yeah.
Spaced repetition, yes. So I feel like that would be a good way to go. And I also want to mention as well that yes, handwritten cue cards are fantastic, but don't follow my method in the way that I did. I did not group them by like topics or anything. I actually just downloaded the vocabulary for HSK5, and I've been going alphabetically, which has some benefits and some cons to it. So the great things is that you will learn the tones easier, I've noticed, because you see words that are like the same pinyin. Like if it's like T, then like you'll know T versus T, and you'll memorize the characters and how they're different. Like all the things that are T, you'll like, I don't know how to describe this, but like you will remember T versus another T. Like you'll remember them better because they're right next to each other. You won't get confused when it gets brought up again and you're like, wait, I learned this already. And then no, you didn't. It's a different character. But this way, memorize that way. But I completely agree that I think that the way of memorizing it in groups, like of topics, is actually a better strategy. I think so. It might be different for other people. Just because then you can make more sentences. They're more related. Like you can easily do it. So, yes.
But I think the best strategy is the one that works well for you. And like, because you're passionate, Jin, and you're bringing the energy, then your way of doing it is clearly working. So it's like, just keep, like, I remember there's this one time that I went and it was a business thing. And I was paying this guy as a consultant. And like, he looked at me and it's funny, the advice, but literally he's like, well, what's been working for you so far? And I was like, well, this. He's like, then do a lot more of that. And it's like, there we go. Like, what are the things, not to you specifically, Jin, but for you who's watching, like, what are the things that you've done in your Chinese that you enjoyed the most, that brought you the most progress? Then just focus more on those things and do less of the stuff that didn't work for you. And then there's your study plan if you do it consistently.
Yes, yeah, I really like that, because you're not only learning a language itself, like you're learning your best strategies at the same time, which will work better for you in the future. So I guess all we can do is kind of provide you with the ways that we've seen other people learn, or like I can provide you with ways that I've been learning, and maybe it'll be helpful to some of you. For some of you, it might not work. But again, like Kwadwo said, it is all about what works for you, and you're kind of on a learning journey of finding out what works for you too, and how you can learn it in the funnest way and in the most productive way, and you'll kind of get the most out of it. So very good points.
Can I specifically answer knowing where to start though, for the beginner that hasn't started, and then that will help you. If this is you, here's exactly how you start. And I can't go into detail because we're on live stream and we need to be brief, but there are 3 components that you absolutely must have. And if you know me and follow me, you've heard these before. You need a book, a textbook or a self-study book. It doesn't matter. Get a book that has audio so you can read along with the audio and work on your tones. Good, done. You got that book, use it regularly. Also have the second component, so 1, 2, 3, which is an interesting online resource. Super interesting. The more you like it, the better, so that when life gets hard, or you're really busy, you at least can still have some Chinese exposure. And like Jin and I said before, you have to manufacture your immersive environment when you're not in China. Having a TV show that you're interested in does help. I always think of this guy. His name was Ramadan. He's from Saudi Arabia, still lives in Saudi Arabia. He's inside of my DIY Chinese community, which is where I coach people how to make progress always and learn in the best ways. And if you're a self-learner, please go to the descriptions below that link. It's elementarychinese.com/Jin and join the community. It's where I can help you in more detail. But he really likes an anime on a Chinese anime on YouTube, and he watches a lot of it. Not that he understands everything, he doesn't understand most things, but he enjoys it. So he has a lot of exposure. And then what he's doing is bringing in the third component, which you need to have for successful self-study, which is a language exchange partner, so that you can take what you're studying in the book or what you're hearing in your interesting online resource or reading in your interesting online resource, and with the help of your language exchange partner, begin to learn more in depth from those two areas and even begin to talk about it. And someone asked yesterday when I was doing some teaching, but how can a beginner learn with a language exchange partner? Simple. You just start talking. Maybe your language exchange partner at the absolute beginning level is just helping you master the tones or the sounds. But then as you begin to get a little better, you can start to go naturally to more and more conversation and discourse back and forth. So your book with audio that you practice with and read along with regularly to engage your listening, your speaking, and your sight. As you learn, your interesting online resource is component number 2. And the third thing is the language exchange partner. Put those together and you will increase the rate at which you are exposed to repeated vocabulary. And the more you see a vocabulary in different contexts, the better you can learn it. And that is the way to go. That is exactly the way to learn. And if you want more help from me, description below, sign up for the DIY Chinese community, and I will help you, and you will get accountability from the group of like-minded people learning in the same direction. Anything to add before we close, Jen?
I just want to say that I think that's a great place to start. All of these tips are absolutely fantastic. And again, if you guys are interested in being a part of this wonderful Chinese learning community, then definitely just check out the link in the description, because that will set you up for success. Yeah. And I mean, as long as you're willing to work for it, okay? It does. Right. I think that's basically everything that we had to cover today. Again, almost another hour. We just keep talking about China. I love it. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this live stream. And thank you again, Kwadwo, for coming on 2 times to my channel to talk Chinese. And yeah, if you guys ever have any questions in the future, you can send Kwadwo a DM on his Instagram is @ElementaryChinese. You can send me a DM on Instagram, or you can leave a comment on this video, and I guess I will try to get back to you on that. And yes, that's basically it. So hope you guys have a great day, great evening, whatever it is for you. As long as you're happy, then that's what matters. So continue to keep working hard, and see you guys in